What we need to do as single nationalists, as groups of nationalists, is to form some sort of umbrella organisation.
Our first speaker today has been a dominant figure in nationalism, and for many years his personality is loved by everybody. He stood side by side with me as a nationalist in the British National Party. Please welcome to Boadicea events, Ian Kitchen.
Oh! You put me on first because I'm the light-hearted one. Right, we're here today to discuss. So I've put my props and bits and pieces, and what we're basically discussing in a roundabout way are these two items. It's a brolly and an hat. And you'll get the meaning of all this when we get to the end. But the main difference between a brolly and a hat is I put this on, water won't get onto my head, but you lot get absolute wet through. If we've got a brolly, we can all get under it. We can all keep dry. Anyway, that's the start of it, so we'll put it down there. Now, I hope you're going to join in this bit of fun, and if you've got a pen and paper, it'll help. And what you're going to write down, nobody else is to see. And when you've got it all sorted and done, you can answer questions. Not as a group, not as individually, but just as a thought. So, people say, what did you do for a sport? Well, I was very, very, very lucky that I raced motorcycles. And people often say to me, I remember Johnny so-and-so, he was from Wigan, you know, good lad. He rode it TT90. You've done that, haven't you? And I'll say, yes, but what class did he ride in? No, he rode a bike in TT. Yes, but it's like a lot of organisations and things. When you race a bike, you've 125s, you've 250s, you've 500s, you've 750s. We're all motorbike racers. But when people want to know about, did you race with so-and-so, what class did you ride in? What year did you ride in? Now, most people don't realise that all this massive part of motorcycle racing, whether you're trials bike, motocross, whatever kind of motorcycle sport, it's all run by the ACU. They nationalise run it and then go into European-wise. So if you want to know any facts about anybody, or you want to know where they live, where they come from, or what they did, you contact the umbrella organisation called the Autocycle Union. And if you contact the ACU and you say, Joe Bloggs race, and they'll come out with all facts and figures. They've nothing to do with Joe Bloggs, but they can give you information. They're not telling you whether it was good or bad, but they can help you with information. And people say, yeah. I said, well, look, we'll use another subject, football. Whatever football you team you support. Manchester United, Liverpool, Leeds, whatever. Most people can find out who their managers are, who their players are, what league or what division they are. But what happens if you want to know about Burlington Town, who play from Archers Arms? Or you want to know about youth team that plays from local church? Because football, like motorcycle racing, all runs under one huge umbrella, Football Association. We all know that the FA run all of football, no matter what degree, whether you're a single person or whatever. They run the referees, the linesmen. So if you want to find any information about anybody, how small or how big. I mean, the news today has been on about that footballer that plays for Manchester United that gets paid more than Yeovil Town 18, whatever it was. But at least we found that information out. You can even find out how much Yeovil players are getting played. But if you want the exact information, you go to FA. Like car racing, being involved in that. They took me out of it, don't worry, they banned me for life. But they did actually. But what happens there, if you race motor cars, stock cars, any kind of car racing, you race under your local association, but that association is then connected all to the FIA. And that's the international group. The British group's the MSA. Now, if the MSA or FIA decide you've done something wrong, they can withdraw their approval of you. And most clubs say, well, if you haven't got their approval, we can't approve. So it's just like the FA, it's a way of policing, the way of helping people out to make sure you've got the right people of the right temperament in the right part of organisation. So we're going to have a bit of fun these days. So you're going to enjoy this. There's a couple of questions to ask. So you look at a nationalist organisations and you say, well, what rules do we have for being in a nationalist organisation? What do you have to do? Now each organisation, we've got them here, several organisations and groups. You've British Voice, you've NF, you've got the old BNP, you've lots of different groups. And UKIP's run the same, lots of different fragments. But how do you get to know about them? How do you get to know where their meetings are? And unless you're in that inner circle, like we are today, and we're here, you can't get to find any information on how to get there, who's speaking, what their main endeavours are. Each group has got its own endeavour, whether it be to stop immigration, child abuse, Islam's, any particular religion. Each group's got its own forte, but in its one umbrella, they're all nationalists. So just for a bit of fun, and remember, this is a bit of fun, you're not going to read this out, but it's just so you know. So I've got 4 questions to ask you, and put them in your head. You're not going to do it publicly, but you've got to have it in your head. And the first question is, imagine them come to see you and you say, right, I want to become a member of your group. What do you have to be to become a member of your group? Now that's question 1. So have a think about that. Just 2 or 3 seconds. And then I've got another question. If they want to come and join your group, what religion? Don't get me wrong, you could say any religion, you could say Christian, but you've got to qualify if somebody wants to become a member of your group. And then you say, well, what colour do I have to be? Because some groups have, rightly or wrongly, colour bars. We only have such and such people, Chinese people, but there is some limitation on some groups of what you can be. And then you've got some organisations, just like UKIP, and some of their rules were brilliant. You know, they said we're not going to have no BNP members in UKIP. That was to stop them getting the bad press. Which, if you think about it, the organisation didn't need bad press. It's easy enough to get bad press as an actress anyway. So that question is, what organisation, what are their basic rules? And do they allow criminals in? Do they allow people that's been banned from doing certain types of job? Do they allow... Each group has a certain assessment of what kind of members they want to be. And the last question about your group, and remember you're putting these answers in your head, is what nationality do they have to be in your group? Do they have to be English, Welsh, Scottish, Irish, any of the above? Are they going to be first generation, second, third generation Great British people? Are they going to be British passport holders or of English birth only? These are questions that people from the outside want to know about your group. So how does a man who lives in Glasgow want to know how he becomes a member of the British Voice or the NF or even your groups? How do they know how to qualify to become a member? How do they know they want to be in a group that doesn't allow certain types of people in? Some people will want to be in a group that don't allow certain people in. But the problem we as nationalists have is nationwide, how do people find all this out? They ask the questions, they don't always know the answers, and if they get the answer that they want, they don't always understand it. Now, I was going to have some volunteers, but let's write. Have we got, and it's a bit of fun, there's nothing else involved in it, I need 4 volunteers. Male, female, dog, goat, anything will do. You come on, we'll have you. Come on, we just Female. Hey, come on, you will have you as well. We need 2 more. And it's only to stand there and hold a piece of paper, nothing that can't be seen. That's 3. Let's have 1 more. Come on, Mr. Whitby, let's have you up front. Let's stop you doing this now. But it makes no odds. Now, put that piece of paper in front of you. And put that in front of you. And put that in front of you. And put that in front of you. Now, we're going to ask some simple questions. And this is all going about what we're talking about. Because these 4 bits of paper have got one thing in common. Now, out of these 4 bits of paper, they all want to join together as a group. They all want to be known to be with each other. Separately or jointly, they want to be each other. So if I turn around and say, right, everybody that wants to be in my group has got to be grey-ish. So who people here could join a greyish group? Where black, white make grey. They're both similar. Join together, they make that group. So out of these 4 different organisations, you've got 2 organisations that can run together. Not necessarily that close, but these 2 help to make that. And then you turn round, turn your paper right way up. And then you turn and then you turn around and you say, well, I want to be in a group that's a bit green, bit greenish. And these 2 go, well, I'm blue, I'm yellow, blue and yellow make green. They can't be greyish, because yellow and black don't make grey. Yellow and white, blue and white don't make grey. But them 2 colours make green. And that's where people are stuck. How do I join an organisation? Because I only want to join an organisation that's all black. So if you want to join an organisation that's all black, you join the black. If you want to join an organisation that's all white, the colour white, you join this one. If you want to join yellows, you're here, and you want to join blue up here. Now, after asking all those questions, what of these 4 people have one word in common? One word that you can say that all these 4 people can join and all be with that one word in the correct group. Anybody got an idea what that? Coloured. That's it. The word's coloured. So if I say to these 4 people, you can join a group if you're coloured. How many of these can join that group?
All of them.
All of them. Thank you for your demonstration, everybody. That's it. That's your bit of piece of paper. And show it up and down.
What have I won?
You go on me for a night.
Oh, great.
So, all I'm trying to demonstrate is that's how you get 4 groups of people joining together. It's how you get 4 groups of people still individualists. These organisations, these colours, still do their own thing. But they can all be united by the one thing that they run under. So they're all a colour. And this is how organisations work. Now, in small groups, these organisations can do what they want. They can work how they want, going towards the goals that they want. But the problem is, like lots of things, it comes to costing, paying for it, and even individualists. We've got a lot of people in the nationalist togetherness that still want to be involved in politics, that still want to stand for council, that still want to stand as MPs. And the problem I have with these wonderful, great people, I'm one of them, there's lots of people here today, and people say, well, what organisation are you with? And you go, well, I was with, but they're no longer. But they've changed their policy. But they still want to do what they want to do to help their country, to help their fellow British people, their fellow nationalists. And that's going back to the 4 questions of who qualifies. So like I say, you could turn around and say, well, they've got to be British. And some people say, well, they've got to be at least 2nd or 3rd generation. And then you turn around, well, what colour? Well, some people say, well, white only. Some people say, well, black only. You get the black awards, black sing awards. But anyway, that's by the by. And then you go, well, we don't want no criminals, or we don't want people that have been accused of being racist. We don't want a people. It's, at the end of the day, all these groups have got their own formality to join, but at least you get to know what they want and what they don't want. Now, we've got lots of big political moves. We look at the unions. More trouble from unions than what you could think about. But if you look at the unions, you can be Boilermakers Union, National Coal Board, you can turn around and be with JMB, you can be with Bakers Allied Union. These unions, even though they're separate for each of the tradesmen, have one umbrella that they all sit under. When the unions gather for their annual talk, what's it called?
Congress.
It's called the Trade Unions Congress, the TUC. That's what the unions use to umbrella their whole organisation. It was like they said anybody could become a member of a union, small union, big union, but you'll get support from all the big unions. Until you did what they did with BNP, and they said, well, if you're a member of BNP, you can't become a member of a union. But they made that national, they made that every union. They made it so every union could say, well, I'd like you to have a member, but TUC say, you can't be one. So you could blame one particular person or try to attempt to blame one particular union for what they're disagreeing about. But at the end of the day, that little organisation could fall back and say it's TUC. So it works both ways, because if you get a small group of people and say, we don't want you with us, they go, why? Well, we'd like you, but main umbrella says you can't have you. It gives you protection. What happens is, when you want to have a small demonstration or a march, you might be able to get 3, 4, 5 good people, but 5 good people aren't going to stop a town. 5 good people aren't going to put a big enough demonstration to stop it. But if you organise through your umbrella organisation, as the TUC do, you could put forward on through whatever you're going to design to do with this major group, is you say, we're having a march against so-and-so, and everybody gets to know. They all get to know what's happening in each group, each demonstration. Now, I'm trying to put this forward today to let you organise it. Because my thoughts, hopefully, are waking you up and saying, yeah, we could do with that. We don't want an organisation, or I don't want a national organisation where you've got anybody in charge of it. Because it ends up being that big boss of all country, which nobody wants. And money and treasures and bits and pieces. It's like the TUC. Not many people, I must admit, there'll be somebody here today and give me an answer, but I don't know. Who's the leader of the TUC? Who's the treasurer? Who's the bits and pieces? But in your own organisation, your own union, you know who's your shop steward. You know who is your local treasurer. And if you need any funding, if they can't afford it, they go to the national body. How are we going to set this body up? Who's going to run it? Who's going to organise it? I'll be honest, I've got my own ideas, but they're probably not what you all agree with. And you've got a lot of ideas that probably I don't agree with. What we need to do as single nationalists, as groups of nationalists, is to form some sort of umbrella organisation. It's like today, I had a word from a friend, oh, well, I like what you're talking about, but don't mention unionists, don't mention unions, people don't like that. Each word, people don't like, I don't like this kind of organisation because it's got this word. I'm not trying to say you should call it the Nationalist Union or the Nationalist Country. That's not up for me. It's up for the groups. But the advantage you've got is when people come up to you and say, what are you in? You say, well, I'm in British Voice. We're a little group down at the bottom. Or I'm with Higgins Friends from Pontefract. Well, what do you do? Well, we do this kind of nationalist work. And we work with, and then you'll name the organisation. It's like the TUC. I'm with Union. I clean dog muck up. And when it dog muck, clean her up at Union. You could at least laugh at that. It was funny because it stinks as dog muck. But anyway, at the end of the day, you don't know who they're with, but you know who does their funding. So what I want you to think about is how you'd want an organisation to run like this, or if you want an organisation. But what I feel is there are lots of people here today. Our different speakers are all great people. They've all got great, wonderful ideas. Some of us will agree with all of it. Some of us will agree with a little bit of it. Some of us will agree with half of it. But under the umbrella, you can find out more about it and how it works. And when it comes to costs for voting, some particular places you've got to have 5 signatures, or you've got to have a group that's got X number of members. When you stand for Parliament, you've got to have an X organisation that runs this, an accounting organisation that runs this. The problem we have with individualists who aren't a member of a group, or there isn't a group in their area, the amount of people that come to me and say, what's happening in West Yorkshire? And I'll go, well, it's blown out, there's nobody about, there's nobody leading flag. There's lots of people who are individualists, there's lots of people, like 10 people in a pub, but they can't do anything because they're too small. If they want to stand for local council election, by the time you get 200, 300, 400 leaflets printed out, it costs money. Whereas if you had a standard leaflet that everybody agreed with, the big word on the top could be Nationalists, British people, and then left blank. But at least you could get 500 of those and finish them off. But if that group or the main umbrella organisation is buying 5, 10, 15,000 of these, you've got somewhere where you can go, buy your 500 basic leaflets and finish them off yourself. But because you're buying quantity, they'll come cheaper. And badges and T-shirts and everything that goes with it. These all cost money. If you want 10 T-shirts printing, there might be £5 a T-shirt. If you want 40, it might come down 20 or 30%. Bigger the numbers, the cheaper it is. That's the way an umbrella organisation can help each person individually by making everything they want to do cheaper, better and more efficient. How many people have done leafleting? We're all there, we've all done some kind of leafleting, we've all stood for elections. But at the end of the day, occasionally it would be nice to have help. Now if you want to stand for a local councillor or a council, you know and I know that you're only talking 1,000, 500, 600 votes in that area to become a local councillor. Sometimes it's hard to do the distribution of leaflets, even in a small council area. How many people think, well, you know, if I had something to do this Sunday afternoon, I'd do it. I'd travel up to 30, 40 miles just to do my bit. I want to feel as though I'm doing a bit more for my country. And a lot of people feel as though they want to do a little bit. And it is only a little bit. But how do you find when you have a bloke sat in Wigan town centre in his little flat, upstairs, with nothing to do for 2 hours on a Sunday, how does he find something to do that'll make him feel as though he's doing his bit for his country and speaking about things he wants to speak about? If you've got an umbrella organisation who knows each small group, each individualist on what they're doing, we're having a meeting, or we're leafleting down road. It could be 10, 15 miles from where that one person lives. A simple pound bus ride, 10 minutes on a push bike, 5 minutes on a car. How would you know, each of you think about where you live, about a little independent councillor that's wanting to stand up for nationalism 15 miles away and he's going to go leafleting, him and his wife, because they're only them two standing on their own, I'm going to leaf 1,000 houses. How would you know you can help them? Because you don't, frightened, you don't really want to be nosy, you don't really want to poke them in the elbow, you don't really want to frighten them, you don't want to make them think, well, I don't know who they are, I'm not going to let them go in. But if you've got an umbrella organisation that can help each of you individually to do your own little bit. To build a house, me and Paul, we're going to go build a house. We'd have a load of bricks. It'd look a right mess because I'm not a brickie and he's crap. But, well, no, have you seen his wall? Yeah, walls of Jericho. But we know all about that, he fell down. But at the end of the day, if we'd got 1,000 friends that came in an afternoon and each one of those 1,000 friends laid a brick, it'd be a lot easier, a lot quicker, and you'd get a lot done. And all everybody's done is laid one brick. If you get 2 men building a house, you've got thousands of bricks. It'll take you weeks and weeks. But each person can go up from 1 brick to 2 brick to a wall. But how would you know where to go and how to help? So just think about it. just have your own thoughts together. How do we want to progress from this stage that I'm talking about now? I haven't got an answer, because all I'm trying to do is get my little stick, make a little spark, make a little flame and blow on it to build my little fire. And at the end of the day, I'll build a big fire and we'll get bigger. And soon that fire will burn down a city, will burn down a county and burn a country out. And from that little spark, we'll have found out and we'll have got what we want. So I suggest you think about it. Put your ideas forward. Speak to other people and think, well, if we did this, we did that, we did other. And we'll move forward from there. So I hope I've been semi-entertaining, and I hope I've given you all food for thought. And just remember, instead of walking down the street on your own with an hat on, and somebody says, can I come and join you, but I don't want to get wet, you either got to give me a hat and you get wet, or carry on wearing a hat on your own. But instead, if you're walking down the street with an umbrella, you can get 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20, and you can all jump under it and keep dry. And if you want to go and you don't like it, you can walk out. And the rest of the group's going to stay dry. That's all I've done. That's all I wanted to do, was to make you think about it. Thank you for listening, and thank you for being here today.